What's up, guys? It's the Catman here, and today I'm going to be talking about something a little bit different. I'm not going to be going on a rant about skill based damage or the problems with Call of Duty or any game specifically, really. I more or less just want to convey my personal feelings about gaming right now and just how it feels because I've been a huge gamer pretty much my entire life since I was like 12 years old. I've been playing all sorts of video games ranging from Call of Duty and Halo. I've played lots of mobile games, Clash of Clans, Clash Royale. I've played chess. I've played just a ton of different online video games. And basically, what it boils down to is if there's any sort of competitive nature to a game, like a PvP aspect, I'm not super big on the campaigns, the story modes, anything like that. I think if I want to go consume a good story, I'm going to go watch a movie or a TV show or something like that. Whereas, the majority of the time that I spend playing video games, for example, is in some kind of competitive nature or social nature, playing with friends to some extent. So I kind of like, I'm not a huge zombies person, but if there's any sort of challenge or any kind of aspect where I can play with other people and have fun with other people, play against enemies, that's pretty fun for me. I've never been like the biggest World of Warcraft type person or anything like that, but think actually back in the day, I used to play a lot of like MMO RPGs. I really liked a lot of these are, very niche and probably not relevant at all nowadays, but I grew up playing Tribal Wars. I think that's what it was called. A few other ones. I'm trying to think of. The Dark Orbit was one that I absolutely loved. And then I played like this Star Wars one. I can't really remember what the name of it was, but played a little bit of like StarCraft and stuff too. So, I've been gaming for a very, very, very long time. And I think that, and I don't know if it's just a nostalgia thing, right? But it just feels like gaming isn't as fun anymore. And I don't know if this is just a part of getting old, right? But I don't know. I mean, and I still have a lot of fun playing games. I don't get me wrong. Like, if I didn't have fun, I wouldn't be doing it. But I just feel like there's a lot of kind of issues across the board, especially now with PvP type games, first person shooters, even games like Fortnite. I guess that would be technically a third person shooter, but I used to play a lot of games like Gears of War, for example, and I absolutely loved that. And back in the day, like I played it a ton, but I just feel like overall the quality of games has kind of been on this decline for the last decade. I don't really, and I'm definitely going to get into some of the reasons why I think that's happening, but what it really boils down to, and I was sitting in my bed last night thinking about this, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to make a video about it because it seems like it would be a cool topic to cover. And it kind of goes along, it correlates in my mind to a lot of things that are happening in the world in general right now. So what it really boils down to is everything really nowadays feels very manufactured, and it's kind of hard to really describe what I mean by that. So I'm definitely going to provide some examples here. But one of the examples that I was thinking about was the comparison to ghost kitchens. And hear me out, this analogy will make sense hopefully after I explain it a little bit. But I was watching this video on ghost kitchens, right? And ghost kitchens are essentially basically like warehouses where they there's a lot of different ghost kitchens. Sometimes you'll have a restaurant like Chili's, for example, that will make different types of food that's not Chili's related and then sell it on DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever for, let's say they're whipping up some sort of Asian dish in the back and they kind of market it on Uber Eats or DoorDash as like this knockoff Panda Express, or a lot of times they try to market it as kind of like an authentic Asian restaurant, Asian cuisine restaurant or whatever. So, but in reality, it's just being made in the back of Chili's, and it's actually gone to a point where literally there's like warehouses full of just kitchens, and all they do is basically manufacture the food in these, warehouses. Drivers go and pick it up and then they deliver it to whoever is buying it. I've actually had an experience with this recently where I thought I was getting this like authentic Mexican burrito place and it ends up getting delivered. I look at it, I'm like, this doesn't look that great. Lo and behold, it was actually fucking made at Denny's. So I was eating what I thought was like an authentic Mexican restaurant, but it was really coming from just this multi-million-dollar company pumping out burritos in the back of Denny's. So I don't know. I mean, it feels like video games kind of have the same vibe nowadays. There's really that lack of like soul or human touch to it, where that used to exist in these games that were being made. What it really feels like is games are being made and highly optimized for engagement and for profit. And it's not like they're being made for fun anymore, if that makes sense. And so I'm going to show some examples here. So I'm going to pull up a couple of different graphs. All right, so what we're looking at here right now is basically how many gamers there are in 2024 and how that's changed over time. And I think the figure that really stood out for me when I was looking at this was over the last 8 years, there has been 1 billion, with a B, billion new gamers added into the, I guess, like the market population or whatever. And as you can see, it's growing very consistently over time. And so like, man, back in like 2015, even earlier than that, I felt like gaming was kind of just this nerdy niche thing. And whenever it was like that, people didn't really understand what the point of video games were. I remember parents didn't really understand it. Teachers, people that weren't kind of in the know didn't really understand what the appeal was to video games. Like, why are you playing this game online? It didn't really make sense back in the day. But now it's like everyone knows what gaming is, and it's a massive industry now. I mean, look at these numbers. Every single year increases over the previous year, like 6%, 7%, 6%, 6%, 6%. I mean, COVID saw like a massive increase in gaming because that's basically all we could do. And I think really like a lot of that changed the industry with COVID. And it used to be this really niche thing that not a lot of people really understood. And now it's this massive, massive industry. And one of the things that comes to my mind is one of my buddies, his brother was one of the founding members of FaZe, and I think he actually ended up playing with Optic for a little bit. This is back in the very, very beginning too. Like, this is well before they were basically anything, right? And I mean, FaZe was not like a household name back then. There was literally like a group of 5 or 6 dudes that were just uploading quick scoping montages to YouTube, and no one really understood, except for the gamers, really understood what they were actually doing. You couldn't show that to like a general to the general population, and they couldn't make any sense of it, right? So I guess the point that I'm trying to make now is it's different now. I mean, I went to the convenience store the other day, and I was picking up an energy drink, and it was a Ghost, right? Right there on the fucking can. Right there on the can, it said FaZe Clan. It was like their own branded energy drink. And I'm like, man, this is crazy, dude. Like, these are guys that I used to just follow on YouTube that were like quick scoping and stuff. And now they're on energy drinks in the convenience store. I mean, it's wild. So, yeah, I think that's what it really comes down to. It's like, this has become such a big industry that it's like these companies basically, like, everyone's just trying to capture their share of this, like 3.2 billion people that are playing. And not only are they trying to capture the attention of them, but they're also trying to just shove as much shit down our throat as we can possibly take. I mean, there's so many bundles, there's so many skins, so many battle passes. It feels like games are trying to cater to like everyone at this point. I logged on to Fortnite the other day, and I saw that there was a Skibidi Toilet skin, and I was just like, I mean, at first I thought it was kind of funny, but at the same time, I'm just like, man, like, what is going on? They are literally trying to cater to like every single person out there. There's not like a specific audience, where back in the day it was like a specific audience. There was a very niche specific audience, and that's kind of like how games were made. They were made to these fucking nerds that were playing the games, and now it's like everyone and their mom plays games. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like, in a way, watching your favorite artists that you really liked when they're small, kind of like a hipster type thing, right? You like them when they're small, and then they start getting more and more attention, and then, they start selling out a bit. And it's just like the quality of what they're putting out isn't really who they are, if that makes sense. That's more watered down and adopted for are adapted to like this mainstream audience. And I was actually watching a video by McWiki, and he was saying that games now, how they used to cater a lot to the competitive scene, and now they've more are catering towards this like general public, the general population. And that's a huge issue for a number of reasons. And I think the biggest one, and the point that he was trying to make, and I'm not sure if this was like an explicit point that he was trying to make, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Like, the people that are promoting the games, the people that are getting followed are the content creators, right? They are the competitive people. Like, people follow these people because they're good and they want to get better. They want to learn tricks from them, or they just want to watch like highly entertaining content. And a lot of times they feel like these creators are the voice of the community, and they're not really following Call of Duty. They're not really following Treyarch to release updates about the game, where content creators and professional players are the ones that are actually covering the game a lot better than Call of Duty is, and they're being more transparent, and they're expressing more information about the game. So it's like, man, these are the people that are the voice of your game, and you're completely neglecting them. And when you stop catering to those people, you're basically like getting rid of free marketing, right? They are basically playing the game and marketing it. If they're having a good time, you know, if you're a good player, you're posting videos online and you're having a good time on a game, it's going to make people want to play that game. Even if they know that they're not the best, they see someone that's good having a good time, and they're like, well, you know, maybe if I play that game, I'll actually get better and have a fun time too. But now it's like, you see all these content creators that are good at the game, obviously, and they're not having a fun time with the game. So it's not really great publicity for these game studios to just cater to everyone upon release. So yeah, man. And I think, so that's one thing, right? You know, everything really feels manufactured nowadays, and that sucks. But one thing I really think is just absolutely destroying the experience for everyone, including good players, bad players, everyone across the board, is hackers and cheaters are just ruining the experience. I mean, it kind of sucks, because if you want to like invest even slightly emotionally into a game, it's a recipe for disaster, because the better you get, the higher skill lobbies, especially with like every game nowadays having skill-based matchmaking, the better you get and the higher skill lobbies that you're getting, you're just bound to come across a hacker or cheater at some point. I was playing Fortnite Ballistic last night, and I am 100% convinced that we came across a team of cheaters. And maybe not 100%, maybe like 95%, but there's definitely something weird going on in the game. And unfortunately, my hard drive actually filled up while I was recording the game, and I only got about half of the gameplay footage. But I'm going to just show a few clips here to kind of show what I'm talking about. It was basically the whole team that had this magical laser beam aim to my head the entire game. Unfortunately, I was only able to get about 3 deaths before it stopped recording. But yeah, I mean, this whole game, dude, I was just getting beamed right on the head. And every single one of these guys, like, we were watching every single one they were just getting headshots. And so I don't know, they could have just been really good. I think this clip right here was the most suspect one. This dude just jumps over and just beams me before I even get it. Like, you know, and it's not like I'm reacting super slow in this instance, right? Like, I do kind of snap onto target, and it was a little bit suspect. So he jumps over. You can't ADS while you're in the air, by the way, in this game, and then he just snaps my head and beams me. So, and if it was just this one instance, I would be like, all right, you know, he's a good player, whatever. But whenever you're dying over and over and over in the same way, in the same game, it was like the whole team was basically spot on lasers. And so, look, man, I don't know if they were cheating or not. I don't want to make any like accusations, but it did feel pretty different, especially for the rank of lobby that we were in, for them to just be locking into headshots every single time. I mean, it was definitely super suspect. And I think that really goes back to my point. It's like, I used to build Legos when I was a kid, and I used to build, big Lego sets. It would take hours and hours, and I would, emotionally invest into the Lego set. And I remember one time, one of my cousins just came into the room after I finished one, and I think he just like, it was probably some like Star Wars ship or whatever, just smash it into the wall, right? And I remember just being like, wow, that, I just wasted hours of my life trying to build this thing, and then in an instant it's just completely destroyed. And that's how I feel about playing video games sometimes, especially whenever you come across a cheater or you get into like a high SBMM lobby and you can't tell if they're cheating or not, or maybe they're just that good. Yeah, that's just kind of how I feel a lot of times playing video games nowadays. It's literally like not even worth emotionally investing into it anymore. Where back in the day, that was the fun in the video games, was like getting emotionally invested into the lobby. There was people talking and search and destroy. People are shit talking. Now no one's talking, and if they are talking, there's a very good chance that they're going to get chat banned. So, man, I can't be crazy in thinking that games have deteriorated in some way, just the overall experience. And maybe it's because I'm older, I don't know, but it doesn't, maybe it's because not a lot of my friends play anymore. I mean, I still have a pretty good amount of friends that play video games that I play with on a consistent basis, but it just doesn't seem the same. The vibe isn't the same, man. It's not the same vibe that it used to be. Like, everything felt so organic. Even being competitive in lobbies, you could switch from being like super sweaty against a team that was shit talking to the next team just using riot shields and having fun. Everything felt so organic, and nowadays it just feels so manufactured. It feels like I'm playing, I don't even know. It feels like I'm playing like a mobile game in terms of like engagement. I think all these AAA developers have really taken the textbook from mobile games on like Candy Crush and how to engage and capture people's attention, and that's just what it feels like now. It doesn't feel like an organic experience. It feels very corporate-y, very manufactured, and highly optimized. So hopefully things change for the best, but you never know. All right, man, that's it. See you guys.
Yeah, for real.